No.
Wait. Okay, listen.
Every time the Liberals tried to put something through the Senate to try and fix the debt up, that's why it's taken 10 years, you guys disagreed. You wouldn't pass it. Now you're saying, oh, they doubled the debt. Of course they doubled the debt. You brought in NDIS, which was unfunded. Everything's unfunded. Everything's
Have a
unfunded.
chat.
No, it's wasting my time with you blokes.
Wait. Listen. We have a news. But we talked to.
All bullshit. What, you guys would get up or something? Who are you with?
No.
Who are you with?
We're independent.
Who's funding you?
No one. Oh, well, our audience is funding us. Like, we're crowdfunded. Wait.
Wait.
Look, we
Bullshit.
talked to 300,000 people.
No, bullshit, mate.
All right, it's time for the latest, and by that I mean first instalment of Change My Mind, where we rationalise our views on not so controversial topics, not in full, sometimes edited, because there's an old guy there that, trust me, you will be glad he's edited. And definitely not copied from that Crowder guy. This is a completely original idea, Subi. This time we went to Terrigal on the Central Coast to test to see if people disagreed that the Liberals are terrible economic managers. And it turns out, because it's a marginal seat, virtually no one gave a shit about politics. Who'd have thought? There's only one thing in common with boomers and people from Syria, and that is that they do not want to be on camera. We spent all day on Terrigal Beach trying to find boomers and zoomers from the quote-unquote right to argue, and only one old guy came to sit down, proving that the golden generation truly is golden. He talked a lot about sheep, so we're just going to fast forward that. We did meet the local Cursor fan club, and they offered the most scathing critique of my beliefs, just not on this subject.
You're talking shit on Mrs. Max pies.
Yeah, why didn't you sub? No, they're not. They absolutely are not. I will take that to the grave. They're terrible.
Yes.
What did you say?
If it's not Mrs. Max, you got to take it back.
Damn, we should have done that. Mrs. Max are terrible. Changed my
I would
mind.
have sat down there and given you my description of why Mrs. Max pies are the best thing. Honestly, mate,
No,
the sausage rolls,
even 4 and 20 is better than that. Why do you think that?
but like you can just go down to Coles and get one, but you have to like check it to the servo to get a 420 pie.
So that's even more convenient. I don't know what your point
But
is
they're
here.
cheap as well. My mum got them for $1 each at Coles.
Okay, right.
cheap.
They do
And
beat
they're
you out
good.
on value, but you know why they beat you out on value?
'Cause they're good.
Because they're shit.
No,
What do you mean? Why is it because they're good?
Because they just taste good. They taste so good. They're just awesome. You know, you drench it in tomato
This
sauce.
is
and
such
it's
a
beautiful, mate.
subjective argument. Like, I can't convince you otherwise,
I know,
other than the fact
I'm
that, like,
sticking-
when I ate it, it tasted microwave. Like,
Yeah,
how
I microwave
gross is
it.
that?
I microwave it all
That's
the time. But you
gross.
put it on crisp, so it goes crunchy, you know? But it still doesn't. But it just tastes Mate, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
All right, well, look. My mind has not been changed, but honestly, like,
Surely
it is
would
nice to know that it has some form of a fan base, because I did not see a single positive comment for that. What I saw a lot of was like, you leave light and easy alone.
Light and easy.
What the hell is-
just
yeah.
overpriced, you know? Like, who wants that?
Why are you such a connoisseur of microwavable goods?
I don't even know what that means. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
It's going on YouTube.
Yeah, probably.
Mate, am I going to be on YouTube?
Yeah, you're going to be on YouTube.
Like, how many?
Set up your own channel. This is basically Fairbairn Films, isn't it? This is great.
Yeah, probably.
Do you have a bottle here? I'll vortex for. I'll do a vortex.
Yeah, you want me to vortex?
What's that?
Vortex. You don't know what a vortex is?
So when say you got a bottle or
Yeah.
like a beer bottle, so you go like that, and the little vortex
And
in.
it does like a tornado. And
Yeah.
You just go.
Vortexy.
Vortex G.
All right, yeah, do it.
Ah,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
yes. Oh, you do it. You
Oh,
do it.
no, okay.
John's a beast at it. Look, watch this.
Gotta sip it, man.
Hey, no. Watch it. Watch it.
You gotta
He's
sip,
gonna
you got-
vortex it. You gotta get it like down a little bit, and he'll vortex
I'm
it.
gonna get it down a bit, so like,
Right.
And then he'll vortex it.
well, I'll try vortex.
Wait, watch him. Watch him.
Wait, what was the trick for that? I don't get what happened.
I'm a beast at it. I'm
Well,
not,
your
but
trick
I
is
am.
that you're able to spit water out your mouth.
No,
Is that
so
what's going
You
on?
gotta watch
Oh,
the
mate.
thing. Watch the thing. It'll do a vortex. We're gonna,
See, it's like it vortexes. And
yeah, see.
Genius.
So when you do it, right? When you do it, so,
So
right,
good to see that this is the education system under the Liberals. Like a vortex.
I go to Eddie's. I pay $7,000 a year to learn how to vortex. But
Well,
like,
thanks for stopping by,
No,
boys.
you're
I do
welcome, mate.
really appreciate
So-
that. I learned something.
Yeah, you
you
learn.
did, yeah, Mrs. Mac pies.
No, I didn't learn that.
I did change your mind. I did, didn't I?
No, you absolutely did not. In fact, you made me reassess my own opinion, and now I'm harder on the side
So
that
what do
like
you think?
that is shit. Wait, can you talk on this subject? Do you know anything about it?
Liberals? I don't know what a liberal is. Wait, can you just like
Well, at least he's
elaborate it
having
for
a
me?
chat.
Elaborate it for me. What does this mean? Like, and I'll like argue about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
All right, sit down.
I'll
Sit down. Let's just talk about that. So first of all, the first question that you had for me is, quote, what's a liberal?
Yes. What is a liberal?
All right. You know the government at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you know who our prime minister is?
Or who's that? Oh, I know his name. No. What's his
Jesus,
name?
this is $100 question on who wants to be
fuck.
a millionaire, isn't it?
What's his name? It's Oh, I couldn't tell ya.
His friend just says his name's faggot.
It
No,
is.
it's not that.
No,
Close.
because I don't know because we change prime ministers every week. How am I meant to remember? Maybe if we kept a prime minister for like more than 2 weeks, then I would probably remember. This is good water, by the way.
All right, so his name's Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison, I was going to guess that.
No, you absolutely were
I was.
not.
I've said it
You
before.
said faggot was the right answer.
That was
You just
Jordan,
didn't
that
know.
wasn't me. That's not. Okay. So, Scott Morrison.
Yeah, all right, so Scott Morrison, you know him, right?
Oh, yeah. And he's got like,
You
he's the
don't, but
old
anyway,
bloke.
we've
He's the old bloke.
established that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an old man.
Oh,
that's true.
that guy's got budgie smugglers on.
He does have a really...
Oh, I should have
not an
worn my
impressive
budgie
ass, but
smugglers
he's got a
on.
lot of ass out, doesn't
Yeah, thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
he? These guys here, look, it took us 20 minutes to get to this point because they were sitting there just going,
Wait.
look at me flex, watch me do a tornado.
Yeah, Vorteki.
Yeah, Vorteki. It's still there.
Well, I didn't know you
All right,
lived
so you
on
don't
the
know.
coast.
Okay, so I'm imagining you don't know anything about economic management. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 15.
All right, okay.
I'm pretty
This is
retarded
the
for a
worst.
15-year-old.
This is not how I was expecting this segment to go.
Wait,
It's
so
pretty
like,
depressing. This is
so I'm gonna
the
get
general
you.
public at Terrigal.
Yeah, this
just
is
15-year-olds
Terrigal.
flexing.
Dazzala! Nah, we're a bunch of essays down at Terrigal, mate. We be ripping billies every weekend, non-stop.
All right, so do you know anything about... What do your parents vote then?
What did Mum vote for? Wait, my mum. Oh wait, did the
Oh, so you're
government watch
related.
this? Would the government watch this? Because like my mum probably hasn't voted for like 30 years. And that was like the first time she did. This year.
Actually true.
She did.
Why did she vote?
She
Why
did
did
it.
she vote, and what did she vote for? I don't know why.
I
combined
think
those
I think
two
she
words.
just like randomly voted for I don't know Scott Morrison.
Make it up. We don't know.
I couldn't tell ya. Like I couldn't.
She
tell
kind
ya.
of voted for Scott Morrison.
Who's? I don't understand the voting system. Like I need this like
Okay, do you know that there's an election coming up in a month?
for who?
For the New South Wales.
No! That was a month ago, you nong! Stop!
You're a fucking
Stop
slob.
heckling!
Yeah, you heckler. Go heckle at Frenchies,
I
mate.
don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. I only go to Terrigal Terrigal High. Public school. I don't go to some fancy St. Eddie's.
Yeah, and look at me, I go to Eddie's and I
Well,
still
this is
don't-
what I'm saying. The public education system at the moment is worse than Kazakhstan's. Fact. This is why you have answers like that. Who's the Prime Minister's name at the moment? Is it faggot?
Mate,
So-
it always is. It is.
So, you don't know anything about the electoral
No, I do
system.
not.
You didn't even know that there's an election coming on in a month. I'm pretty sure you're high at the moment.
I'm high. No, I'm not high. I don't smoke, I just say it. He smokes.
I don't, buddy.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. Oh no, sorry.
How you
He-
doing that?
he
Why are you
doesn't.
calling him
That
out?
wasn't me.
I haven't smoked since last year.
Okay, so do you know? So you know nothing about why your mum voted?
No, not at all. I just know that she did vote. I'm not sure about my dad. I couldn't tell ya. But like,
Have you ever discussed politics once in your household?
We don't talk about politics.
no, we
What do you guys talk about?
Not politics.
I'm usually in my room.
Clean my room.
No, you
Normal
don't clean your
stuff.
room.
What do you
home,
count
mate.
as normal stuff?
No, you
Wet and
don't.
Wild, the
Bullshit.
show? Huh?
I do
Bullshit.
clean my room.
No, you don't.
Yeah, well, I do.
Well, you
But
don't.
that's what my mum.
I highly doubt this man.
Look
cleans
at
his
him.
room.
Does he look like he cleans his room? No.
No.
Girls? No.
Hey, shut up. Go get more earrings.
Mate, you're just jealous. 2K each. 2K each. 2K.
Yeah, mate. 2K19. You can be anything.
You could be a potato.
A potato, yeah. But I don't know anything about politics at all, if I'm going to be honest. I don't really care about politics. Like, it's not affecting me in any way, you know?
Well,
like,
it is.
I don't know how, though.
Like education.
Yeah, what about, you're in school at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one way that it affects you.
How?
What do you mean how?
How does it affect me?
Whoever's in
school.
government, they determine what the education system is going to look like,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So at the moment, the Liberals have cut $30 billion from schooling. That means you are currently in an education system that is worse than Kazakhstan's. Do you know where Kazakhstan is?
No.
Have you ever heard of that place ever?
No.
Well, that's what $30 billion does. When you cut that from the education system, they
Is
don't have
that,
the sixth
that sounds
largest
like it's
country
in
on earth.
Israel and some... Is it?
It is in Israel.
Is it? Oh, let's go, man. Fuck oath. Let's go, bro. I actually got it.
Yeah, sure, you got that.
We also met the local Labor candidate.
God, Australia is just not as a combative place as America, is it? There is not one person that came up and disagreed. Somebody came up for a second and just said, like, I think they're both bad, and said, can we record you? And he goes, absolutely not, I'm scared, and then ran away. So all we've got is people like you, who's the candidate for this region for the Labor Party. So I'm sure you agree with this, that the Liberals are bad economic managers,
The
right?
Liberals are bad economic managers. Like, I know every day from just being out and meeting people on the street that they tell me the wages are going down. This weekend, people aren't getting paid penalty rates. They can't access cheaper, cleaner fuel. It's hopeless around here. Like, people really are doing it tough. We need to change a government because we need some decent economic management in place. Only
Right.
Labor's going to do that.
Yeah, no, you don't have to convince me. That's fine. You got my vote. But you don't actually, because I can't vote here. And I'm sad about that as well, because you're only on a 2% margin, is it? Is that the deal? How marginal is this seat?
This seat's pretty marginal, but you
Yeah.
know, it's
You're just going to get in, aren't you? Just from the natural flow of things.
it's absolutely a fight to the end every single
they
day.
always say that.
It's true because you just never take anything for granted with this community, and these people locally here. It's about getting the word out. It's about having the opportunity to speak to every person. And yeah, I'm one person, and I'm doing a good job, I think, of getting out and chatting with locals.
I think so. You are.
Here I am today. I ran into
you were
you.
out schmoozing people along the street. Your opponent wasn't doing that. She was sipping a latte. Fact. We have that on record. No film proof of that, actually, so pretty much what we just said is a bald-faced lie, because we can't prove it. But it happened. It happened. So anyway, the point is, though, that it's really good to see that you are commanding this army of volunteers to go out and demand that people pay attention for a few seconds, which is half the battle. Because as you see with this, most people just have zero idea about politics or don't think about it at all, ever. I was just talking to those guys there, and I said, you've been alive 15 years, have you had one discussion about politics? And the answer was a strong no.
But it's also about talking to people about what they're interested in. So I'd be talking to those kids about climate change because I'm sure that they'd know about that. When I speak to young people...
These guys here. Just get the no, damn it! We're off for 1 second. Yeah, there we go, capoeira moves. Yeah, the guy that thinks he's Eddie Bravo from Tekken, I'm sure he cares about climate change.
5-7 heaven, your minor boys for life. Absolutely. 5-7 heaven.
Wait, why are you here? Just so we can prove something. Wait. Do you know anything about climate change?
Oh, global warming.
Yes?
The thing that's surrounding the Earth. It's getting broken from pollution and stuff like that.
See, he does know.
Yeah,
That's great.
When you look at the region around the Central Coast, you would think that if the Liberals wanted to hold on to government, they would be making sure that the people here are happy. I understand seats like Newcastle, for instance, where it's just that's always going to go to the Labor Party. But you think you'd at least try? Oh, come on.
Labor needs to do the hard yards for the community to make sure that we can get into government, and that's what we're doing, creating policies that people can relate to. Another fun fact, the median income of people on the Central Coast is $42,000. $42,000 doesn't even feature in the Liberals' latest round of taxation policy. So we've got most of the people on the coast who will not benefit from the latest budget announcements by the Liberal Party, but that's the group, and normal working families, seniors and young people that Labor's focusing on. It's not rocket science, it's just about priorities. Like, I see the Libs more and more focusing on the big banks, multinationals, corporations, and the Labor Party focusing on seniors, pensioners, working families and young people. That makes really good sense to me.
They have been spinning this line at the moment of we care about the economy because we care about people. How focus group tested is that? Have you seen that? Have you seen them spinning this one now?
I'm out talking to people. I spend my days leading up to the campaign, leading up to the election, just getting out and chatting with people, because that's my job. I reckon if I'm asking people to come in and vote for me, that I need to at least give them the opportunity to meet me. But it's really great to meet you today, and thank you so much for having me. And thanks for being here on the coast. Great to have you here.
Go me. But the only reason I came here is because it's a marginal seat, so I am glad that we came across you as well. It's nice to meet somebody who's fighting the power, you know?
Good on you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See you around.
This old Goldie B, we managed to have a decent chat, even though he spoke at the roadrunner rate of 6 words a minute.
Nice to meet you.
Half bloody loco, half loco. I must be half loco to come and sit down here.
Yep. You certainly are. You've sat in the lion's den, which is a lot braver than what I would have done, you know? So,
Repeat that again. Repeat. You what?
So why do you think that the Liberals are good economic managers?
Oh, well, all politicians are bullshit artists, you know, all of them. But
Why do you think that?
Well, because to go into politics, you've got to be a self-seeking person.
That's true.
You're not good people. Generally speaking, good people don't go into politics. Generally speaking.
I mean, I've met some politicians that I like. A lot of them, I do agree, though, are very smarmy. And when you shake their hand afterwards, it's just like, are you an eel? Why are you such a... Even your hand's clammy. So I do understand that view. But the thing is, as a machine, when it comes to politics, right? So you're voting in a party.
Yes.
To run a country.
Yes.
So they have to have some kind of responsibility to the community, don't they?
They do.
Otherwise, they get voted out.
Yeah. I mean, I was president of the Graziers Association. I've done a fair bit of work in my life.
You're a bit of a politician yourself, then, weren't you?
Oh well, I owe it to society, don't I? You owe it to society.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, see, I don't think you're a bad guy. Some people that get into political, I'd say you're like a lobby group or whatever, but some of those people they've got good intentions in life, don't they? I don't think you have bad intentions.
Australia has been exceedingly good to me, and so I am eternally grateful. I've given my children a bit of a start, and we bought them houses, and.
Well, it's very nice of you. I wouldn't. Even if I zigzaggled my money like you, I'd just be like, you can starve, or you can make something of yourself.
You would not.
Yeah, I would.
You would not.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got children?
No. Heaven forbid. Little monsters.
Well, I mean, you only have one thing in life. Your family, nothing else. Your family's the only thing that. Yeah.
I don't have one.
Well, but you get married and produce children.
Yeah, maybe.
And you go back to the beginning, and then you have. I mean, the only thing in life is your family, and my children and grandchildren, and
So that's what you care about. Your children and your grandchildren.
That's right, exactly.
You're a nice guy. I don't understand why you believe this, though. Because if you cared about your kids... No, I'm not going to go through that argument of just, you care about children, don't you? I think that's a really sleazy way of arguing. But, so you think that the Liberals are better economic managers than Labor?
Unquestionably. There isn't any question about it.
Well, what if I were to show you this graph? So, this is the OECD record of both parties. And I think what has happened to you, and this isn't your fault, and it's the same with me as well, it's just that the mainstream media for the last 30 years has just been telling the public that the Liberals are better economic managers than Labor because they want that party in because it serves business interests, right? But if you look at the facts, like see here, under Malcolm Fraser, we're talking about the OECD, which is the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. So it's most of the developed nations on Earth together, and then they rank how they're doing economically, right? So 1983, under Malcolm Fraser, we had the 20th best economy on Earth. Malcolm Fraser was a Liberal, you remember, right?
I remember Malcolm very well. I have met him a couple of times.
He's a nice guy.
I've met
I'll
him
give
a
you
couple-
that.
So I met him a couple of times.
Do you think that it's a bit unfair when people call him the Easter Island statue? Does he look like that in real life?
It's a bullshit thing. Total bullshit thing.
But the thing is, like, his government left us, and again, he's a nice man. I agree as well. I think he's charming, he's witty, but he left us with the 20th best managed economy on Earth. This is the OECD record. And the 20th best managed economy on Earth, that's around the same level as Turkey, right? Like, they still have pirated DVDs. I don't even think we have DVDs. Probably don't know what that is, but anyway, we'll move on to the next one. Look, Paul Keating moved us from 20th best managed economy on Earth to the 6th best managed economy. That's the record.
Paul Keating was an extremely capable and good manager, and he left it, and he did a lot of very good things for Australia. He brought in superannuation.
Amen, high five.
Yeah, he brought in superannuation.
This guy gets it.
Well, I mean, the Labor Party has brought in some very, very good legislation. They have brought in very good legislation, and
Words of wisdom.
What's that?
Words of wisdom. But keep it going, keep it going.
Well,
You're really feeding me here. This is nourishment.
they have the Labor Party. Paul Keating was a very, very capable man, and he was the first person to introduce compulsory super in Australia.
Yep. And what did Howard do to it?
Howard, I can't answer that.
I'll tell you what he did to it. First off, Paul Keating wanted superannuation to go to 15% of people's salaries because that's what would be...
He did.
Which it never went to because
No.
under Howard he capped it at 9%, which
did.
means that the people,
He did.
baby boomers that are retiring now will not have enough money at projected life expectancy, so they'll have to go on to the pension now. So he completely destroyed Keating's vision for superannuation. And on top of that, he made it legal for companies to sell off their superannuation to their employees to retail superannuation funds. And if you look at it, industry super funds perform far better than retail ones because retail ones are just run by the big banks. And as we've seen in the Royal Commission, just a total shambles. So they're stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars off of working people throughout their working life. If you're with an industry super fund, you can make $200,000, $300,000 more when you retire than you would under a retail fund. But John Howard allowed companies to just sell all of it to employees for cheaper bank rates. So there was these two things that are going on, and that's just with superannuation. So he destroyed Keating's vision of superannuation in this country.
Well, Keating's vision, super was a very good thing. However, having been an employee and having run a very large farm...
How many employees did you have?
6, 7.
Right.
And...
Good on you, job maker.
Well,
yeah.
That's all right, but I mean, you've got to be able to afford to pay the super, and super is a tax on the employer. I'm not saying it isn't a good thing, but superannuation
is great. I'm glad that you agree that it's a good thing. Sorry, just to give you some praise for that. That's I don't often hear employers say that, so good on you.
Well, superannuation has been a marvellous thing for Australia, an absolutely marvellous thing. But somebody has got to pay it, and it is a tax on employment, and so you can't just say, well, it should have been 20% or it should have been 30% or whatever.
Well, it was supposed to be 15%, but what did Keating give employers in return for that? Huge corporate tax cuts.
Well,
So under Fraser, I can't remember how much he cut it by, but no politician has cut corporate tax more than Paul Keating. And again, there's a point where it gets too far. So at the moment, Paul Keating would not agree with current corporate tax cuts that the Liberal Party are implementing at the moment, right? But he cut your taxes significantly in exchange for the fact that you would pay that into super. So it actually did work out better for employers, even at the 15% rate. It was just that John Howard came in and thought, oh, this is another way that I can give my friends in big business a huge tax cut by not doing what you're supposed to do with superannuation.
Yeah, well, I don't. I know John Howard.
You met him as well?
Of course, I met him. I met him numerous
Of course!
Well, I know the man. I know the man.
How are you such a bigwig? I don't get this. You're such a mover and shaker in life.
I'm not at all.
Yes, you are. Look at you. You're like this huge cattle rancher extraordinaire that's like an extremely wealthy man that rubs shoulders with leaders of the world. And you're just sitting here hanging out at Terrigal.
I've been in business all my life.
Yeah.
And I'm a wealthy man.
Mm.
I'm a member of the same club in Sydney that John Howard's a member of. I
Right.
talked to him over lunch.
What club's that?
At the Australia Club.
The Australia Club.
The Australia Club.
Is this some Illuminati stuff? What's the Australia Club?
Well, it's a gentleman's club in Sydney.
But in general, I'm imagining just, silk pajamas, everyone walking around with a fez. I know that I get a nice image of it. But when you're talking to John Howard, and again, I'm sure he's a nice man, and I'm going to admit this as well, Paul Keating, probably not a nice guy in real life.
Yeah, he's not a bad bloke.
You met him too?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paul Keating was probably the best treasurer we've had in the last 80 years, probably.
Well, I'd say he's the best since Federation.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that. Paul Keating worries about those that he thinks have privilege, and so he worries about that.
Mm.
But Paul Keating is a good man, and I respect him enormously.
Well, you're a bigger man than me. It's really good to hear that you like Before you were saying you don't like politicians, and now you're saying they're all great.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. But I mean,
That should be said.
but I said I think Paul Keating was an unusually intelligent.
Yes.
And unusually intelligent. But you see, Paul Keating today would hardly be a member of the Labor Party.
Why?
Because that's the way he thinks. I mean, I don't think that's the way he thinks. I know that's how he thinks.
What did he say?
Oh, look, I can't be quote, but
Some Illuminati stuff, I'm telling you.
Well,
But look, if you look at the ratings down here, so I'm imagining that you thought that Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard weren't good prime ministers.
they were not good prime ministers.
Why do you think that?
Well, because they look, you can't squander the money, and I mean, if we had a Labor government today, we would be, if we'd had the last 10 years with a Labor government, we would be heavily in debt, and there isn't any question about that.
Why do you think that?
Because that's how they operate. That's how their brains work.
They like being in debt?
They spend money they haven't got.
But why did they spend that money? Do you know why they spent it?
Well, that's the way they try and they spend money they don't have, and
But do you know what they spent that money on that they didn't have?
well, on social things and yeah,
Well, sort of.
yeah,
But you know about the global financial crisis, right?
yeah. I lived through it.
I was there too. I remember those dark days. But the thing is, when that was happening, they got us out of the global financial crisis. And that is unquestionable. When you look at global economists, every single global economist that looks at why Australia was out of the global financial crisis when the rest of the developed world got into it, maybe Canada, maybe, but that's debatable. The one developed nation that avoided the global financial crisis was us. And you know why? because they spent the surplus on a stimulus package and gave everybody in Australia $1,000 so they could just run out and buy things to keep the economy going.
I remember it well. I mean, yeah.
And on top of that, spend a lot of money on infrastructure. Now, you agree with that. Spending money on infrastructure is a good idea.
Absolutely.
Well, guess who spent the money?
I was on the Merriwa Shire Council for many years. And we were totally dependent on government handouts, grants, to build our roads and our bridges and our infrastructure.
But the thing is that when it comes to this, when you look at the OECD rankings, Julia Gillard and Kevin Rudd came off as the best managed economy in the OECD during the global financial crisis. I mean, that's pretty good.
I can't answer that because I haven't seen that, but I mean, I regarded.
But what's better than first place?
I regarded Rudd as an absolute dud. We called him Rudd the Dud.
Because his name rhymes with it. But why do you think?
No, but it's not because his name rhymes with it. He was, as a Prime Minister, a bloody dud.
Well, he got us out of the global financial crisis. No other world leader did that. No other world leader.
You and I will have to agree to disagree.
But then it gets to Malcolm Turnbull and it gets to Tony Abbott and Scott Morrison. So these were the best. They got the best managed economy on earth under Gillard and Rudd. When it goes down to these three, 34th in the world. There's only 35 countries in the OECD. At the time, I think there was only 34. I'm pretty sure they were dead last. So the current government we have at the moment has moved us down 33 places. And again, this is not my opinion, this is the OECD talking. And I don't think that you're a bad guy for thinking what you think, or I don't think you're stupid or anything like that. I just think that the Australian public has been bamboozled. They've been swindled by a bunch of very wealthy people that want a government in that doesn't serve the average Australian. Because if you're having an economy that is 34th in the world, like, if the Australian cricket team was 34th, don't you think that heads would roll? Surely, and we started getting beaten by Nepal's cricket team. It'd be horrendous. Like, we're losing to countries now that are like Romania. There is no possible comparison here. Why is a country that is an entire continent losing to some virtually landlocked country in Europe? It's a lot to take in. I understand.
I mean, we can argue that black is white, or that we can argue.
What? What do you mean?
Well, you can make arguments that twist things around, and most of it's bullshit. Most of it is bullshit.
But this isn't bullshit. This is the OECD. This is global economists all talking about every nation and how they're performing. And they're saying that Australia is performing the worst, essentially, in the developed world. And it is because of the current government and their policy decisions. So, for instance, infrastructure.
So they're spending it on where the public want the money spent.
That's absolutely not true. If you look at polling, more people would agree. I think it's 2-1. Would you agree that spending money on rail would transport more people than spending it on a highway?
Rail is critical for...
Absolutely.
I agree, of course.
Absolutely.
I get on the rail here. I don't drive to Sydney. I go to Sydney quite a bit. I don't drive. I catch the train down.
Good on you. You're a regular greenie here, and you're a sheep shearer. You're a man of many talents. I suppose so. But the thing is, this government was spending double the amount on rail, and this government was spending half the amount on rail. And again, it is just an economically stupid idea to spend that on roads when you should be building rail. Another example is John Howard had the opportunity to build a rail line from Brisbane to Melbourne. Surely that's a good idea. Linking up the three major cities in this country.
I agree with you, lad. I agree with you. That was a great it was a terrible thing we didn't get it.
And what did he spend it on? Do you know what he spent it on?
What did he spend it on?
He spent it on building one from Darwin to Alice Springs. No one lives in Darwin and Alice Springs. I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of crocodiles in hats. Does anyone live in the Northern Territory? Sure, there's so many more people that live in Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney. And it would have just created so much more growth. Like basically, he squandered hundreds of billions of dollars of growth by building a rail line from Darwin to Alice Springs.
The Alice Springs to the road from Darwin to Adelaide is a defence road.
No, not a road, rail, sorry. I shouldn't have said road. The rail line he built from Alice Springs to Darwin.
I mean, that's a vital part of Australia's infrastructure.
But surely a more vital part of the infrastructure would have been to build one from Brisbane to Melbourne. And he had the opportunity to do that. And he's the first government since Federation that had the opportunity to do it, and he didn't.
Well, I mean, every government can do it if they want to.
But they'd have to go into debt.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course. I mean,
so debt's sometimes a good idea.
Oh, of course. I mean, you can't. The reason that I've got what I've got
is because of debt.
Because of debt.
Smart man.
Well, of course. I mean, you know. Anyway, lad, it'd be nice talking to you. I'm going to let you go.
Well, I like talking to you too. I really did. And I'm so impressed that you know 3 prime ministers. I was not expecting that in Terrigal, especially when the only other person we talked to today was just like, who's the current prime minister again? Didn't know, so. All right, well.
Anyway, I'm going to see you, lad.
Nice meeting.
You know, good luck to you.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
So we thought maybe it's the undecided electorate that's a problem. Let's go to one of the safest seats in the country. We packed up and moved down to the electorate currently held by the man who straight up laid cable without dropping trowel at Ingadine Macca's in '97. And it turns out that the Liberal heartland disagrees with the sign just as much as Terrigal does. So I assume the only reason they keep voting for Liberals is because they've got some Game of Thrones blood oath with Scott Morrison. King of the South. We got a few boomers giving us dirties going, that's not how you spell great. And some of us who said the classic, yeah, they're both terrible, but Labor is more terrible. We sat there waiting all day. Pretty much the most contentious moment was people going, when is it going to be another Yilmaz video? And shut up, it'll come when it comes. We thought we'd never get anyone to debate, but then at the last minute, when we were packing up, has entered the really shit soil park, mostly sand.
Well, first off, mate, thanks for coming, because we have been here since breakfast in Scott Morrison's electorate. We've had a couple of people that walk past and go, do you agree with the sign? And they just go, no, I absolutely don't agree with the sign. Well, do you want to sit down? No. Do you have strong opinions on the matter? Not really. Still got to vote Scott Morrison. Keep walking. So it's great that you're actually sitting down and having a chat.
I think that's a big misconception about Cronulla, though, that I think because since the riots and whatnot, everybody thinks it's a lot more hostile here. At the end of the day, we live near the beach, we're relaxed, you know.
You don't have to sell me on it, my girlfriend lives here.
Yeah, we're not fueled by hate like a lot of people think we are. If you walk along the streets here, there's plenty of multiculturalism around.
Yeah. It reminds me of Bondi minus the weed.
Mm.
You're not into that here, are you?
And
You're
the tourists getting caught in rips, to be honest.
Yeah, well, welcome to Bondi.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the sign is that the Liberals are terrible economic managers.
Yeah.
So do you agree or disagree with that?
In a sense, I'd say it's hard to really base because it's as I said before, it's a bit of an open-ended question.
Why is that?
Because I feel like spending needs to be made for short-term goals, long-term goals. It depends on how we're looking at it. So, and I would press the question that if you think that Liberals are bad at spending, that would imply that you think the latter is good at spending because you need to gauge, you've got to gauge it off something. So, do you believe Labor's good at spending?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, you think handouts are good? Kevin Rudd just throwing $900 bonus to people?
But why did he? Well, it wasn't for nothing.
Well,
that's the whole point.
To boost the economy. But at that stage when that was handed out, every single person I knew that got that handout went straight to the boozer and spent it on alcohol.
That's what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, but I mean, look, do you think in the broad scheme of things that is boosting the economy by just getting a bit of alcohol in people's stomachs for a weekend?
Yes. And so
$900.
and the reason, but and look, I wouldn't have spent it on that. I would have done the classic Central Coast thing and gotten a plasma. But
Plasma.
long-term goals here, man.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
the reason that he did that is because you know the reason that they were handing out the $900.
Yeah, it's
don't
to
you?
boost the economy. Yeah.
Because of the global financial
Yes,
crisis.
I do agree. Yeah.
So it was
yeah.
the most dire economic circumstances since the Great Depression.
I just think there's better ways you can do it.
So how?
Well, I feel like I'm a bit old-fashioned. I feel like you've got to earn something. You don't just get $900 for nothing. And that's what it comes down to is I just see like handouts, working for something, boosting the economy. They're just different planes. Like if you're going to get $900 and go spend it on alcohol or go buy a new surfboard like a lot of people that I know around here did.
Did you do that?
I didn't get it. I didn't get the $900.
young.
I was too young. I think at the time, because Kevin Rudd was 2007 to 2010. Oh, I was 16, 17, 18.
Oh,
so yeah,
just missed out.
Just missed out. So didn't get my new surfboard.
No fridge to fridge for you.
Nah, didn't get my goon sack. Didn't get my fruity Lexia. My 300
But the thing
of
is,
them.
look, would it change your mind to know that global economists who have won Nobel Prizes in economics said that Kevin Rudd's stimulus response of handing out that $900 was the best response to the global financial crisis in the developed world. And the proof is in the pudding in that we didn't have a global financial crisis here. Our economy just kept ticking over. The rest of the world went into a recession that they're just getting out of now.
That's the thing. I reckon regardless of the $900 bonus, I don't think it would have made much difference, to be honest.
Why?
Because as you said, we're good regardless.
But we weren't. That's the problem. If we didn't put out that $900 stimulus, according to Treasury, that means that unemployment would have reached levels of 10%. $40 billion would have been wiped off the economy in a matter of days. And that's just in the first few days. And if we're in a recession, then a recession that lasts 10 years, can you imagine the level of trade and investment and growth that wouldn't have happened in this country if we fell, like as the US and the UK and most of Europe?
But see, I don't think we would fall like the US. Because
what are you basing that on?
There's way more variables. Like the US trade and stuff is way different. Like their unemployment rates
Why is it
way
different?
different.
How?
There's so
If someone
many
doesn't
more
have a job, they don't have a job.
Okay, so let's say in terms of like, how can I put this? Like, it's hard for me to kind of say. I'm obviously losing my words here a little bit.
Back to the mic.
Yeah, sorry,
back
my
to the mic.
apologies. My apologies. Trying to run away.
Yeah. You're not getting away that easy.
I just think like comparing Australia to other countries, it's not the same. It's not the same in terms of like, what are we basing this on? Like
We're basing this on the expert consensus of global economists who
global
studied,
economy though. Global economy.
But we're part of that,
Yeah,
aren't we?
we're such a small fraction of what the world economy is.
Yeah, but they're studying the responses of people to the global of countries to the global financial
Yeah, but you're
crisis.
comparing
And so-
other people's responses to our responses. Our response is going to be completely different.
Exactly,
That's
it
what I'm
was,
saying.
and that's why we were out of the global financial crisis, according to them. So I'm just saying, don't you think that people with PhDs in economics are pretty qualified to say who handled the economy well?
Well, look, I spoke to the other guy before, and I saw one of the other signs, and what was it? Saying that global warming's man-made. To some degree, I agree that as well. Like, I'd like to press on that point a bit because.
Well, actually, maybe we could just stop the cameras and start that one
We'll go.
again.
Actually,
but
no,
let's
no.
start with it. Let's start with it.
No, I won't. We'll follow this one because
Yeah.
chances are I'll end up picking another one up, and we'll be here for an hour, like we said earlier.
Great.
I'd like to
just
get
more
lunch,
content,
believe it or
man.
not.
You're very late for that.
I know. I was enjoying the Sydney nightlife last night.
Right, couldn't tell. So, yeah, when it comes to this, first of all, you have global consensus that we handled the economy really well under Rudd and
Yeah.
Gillard.
Yeah.
Does it also change your mind to know that since our federation, there's only been 2 treasurers who have won Best Treasurer on Earth according to the patented Euro Money Award. That is the Oscars for treasurers. And
Wait,
there's
so
been 2...
are you trying to change my mind or am I trying to change your mind?
Well, we're just trying to do
We'll have
one way or the other.
Okay.
If you could change mine, that's great.
Okay.
Because I'd really like my mind changed. Because
I'm not
I
here-
am really scared of how much this myth is being pressed.
Okay.
According to me.
Well,
but
look.
I'm saying that, like, yeah,
But does it
2
really...
treasurers have won it since Federation.
Okay.
Both of them have been Labor treasurers.
Okay.
One of them was Paul Keating.
Okay.
The other one was Wayne Swan.
Now, who gives out that award?
Euro money.
Euro money. Okay.
So this is a highly patented award.
Okay. Now,
it
with
is of a high
in
accolade.
Euro money, who are the main countries that run Euro money?
Euro.
Euro money.
Euro.
Yeah, look, yeah, but I understand. Like, so is it a group of the whole of Europe? Because Europe's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all of Europe.
No. Euro money is run by, again, a bunch of economists who sit there and then they rank who's got good economic ideas and who doesn't. So the reason that they awarded it to Paul Keating, for instance, is because
Yeah.
he completely restructured Australia's
Okay.
economy. So before that, we had a real World War II economy of just
Okay.
trade tariffs and like, you make bananas, but we make bananas. No, there's no bananas coming in. But then they got rid of all of those tariffs. And so
Okay.
now we have trade across the world, which
Yeah.
has undeniably boosted the economy. There's been some setbacks to it, but in general, he allowed the economy to grow at triple the rate that it was able to grow before. Now, when it comes to Wayne Swan, the reason that he won Best Treasurer in the world is because, again, he handed out $900 so your friends could get pierced.
Wayne Swan, Kevin Rudd.
That's the guy, yeah.
Look, I guess it comes down to obviously coming from the more liberal approach. As I said, I think the only people that are going to disagree with you, like, because I don't disagree with the notion that Liberal is bad at spending, because I think regardless of whoever's in, spending needs to be made, and the way you look at it, short term or long term, it's
What
going
do
to
you think
change.
should the money be spent on?
Okay, can you give me an example of some of the New South Wales spending, like with the Liberal government?
Well,
that
New South
you-
Wales, I mean, I'd love to if this was made a month ago, but
Okay.
this is federal, so
Okay.
we're going to have to do the whole country.
Okay, so what's one main thing in the, like, say, that Liberal has done or they want to introduce that doesn't sit well with you economically?
Economically?
With spending.
Well, the first one that I'd say is corporate tax cuts, which is a
Okay.
type of spending.
Okay.
Because that's money that the budget doesn't have.
Okay.
I think that's an awful idea.
But who are we taxing?
Who are we taxing?
Yeah. Who are the tax cuts? Like who are they mainly focusing?
Corporations.
Corporations.
It's a corporate tax
Yeah.
cut.
Okay.
So they're giving out $65 billion of tax cuts, mostly, because they always say this, of going, oh yeah, it's all small business. No, that's
it
not
is
where
small
most of them are
business.
going. Yeah, but the vast majority of those tax cuts are going to banks and mining companies and casinos. Really profitable companies, they're the ones that are going to benefit from these tax cuts.
Yeah.
And that's money that we don't have for schools and hospitals.
I do
and what
understand
actually
that, yeah.
makes like an economy function? Education, mostly, especially for a
Yeah.
developed economy like
Yeah.
us. One of our biggest exports is education, the next
Yeah.
one is health,
Yeah.
and the next one after that is construction. Now that's all money that we don't have to spend on things like infrastructure or improving the education system, and instead it just goes to tax cuts to these corporations that effectively contribute very little
So
to
do
society.
you think we have a poor education system in Australia?
Yeah, we're ranked worse than Kazakhstan in maths and science. Think about that. I
Yeah,
thought
but-
Kazakhstan was a joke. I didn't think it's actually a country.
Kazakhstan.
Don't you think? Like, isn't it just from Borat?
I
Like,
believe
didn't
so.
even- right?
I believe
Yeah.
so, yeah. Yeah.
So
Look,
that's not good, is it? And that happened under a Liberal government that we started diving with that. The Labor Party has the Gonski policy, which was to bring us back up, hopefully, to top 10, which is where we were before Howard came in.
I guess when it comes down to it, look, I've been a Liberal voter my whole life.
Right. How old are you?
And I'm 26.
Yep.
Now,
Your whole life.
Look, I could
Just getting started, but all right.
Look, how many years is that? 8 years? 8 years of voting?
Yeah.
Look, I think regardless of whoever we have in, Labor or Liberal, although as I said, like I've been a Liberal voter my whole life, I think whoever we have in, we're still going to be in the best country in the world. Like look where we're sitting right now. To be able to have this open debate. Look, we're not in...
Well, that goes into climate change.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're
keep
not at
going.
a university getting, we're not Stephen Crowder getting like screamed at by, you know, triggered like leftists or anything. Like it's
No, there's no libtards in Cronulla.
there is not. There is not. Look, and I believe that, like, in a sense, like, as I said, that sign there, and as I said, I do watch a lot of Stephen Crowder, so I understand.
Yeah.
They don't ever really come to
Stole
an
my
answer.
idea.
Exactly. Yeah. They at the end of it, like, yeah, they can come together and agree on a few things, but look, at the end of the day, nobody's mind's getting changed, really. Like,
But it's not about that. It's about the discussion.
yeah, it's about the
of it, isn't it?
discussion. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the point I'm pressing now, is that people can still come and have this open debate where, like, I guarantee you, like, a lot of people would have come past, and just because they saw that sign, like, they may want to initiate conversation, but they just couldn't be bothered, man. Like, it's too much work. It's too much, like, effort for what it's worth.
You can tell, because you've got that classic Aussie slant like this. You just can't argue
Did I
very
remember-
hard if you're leaning back, can you? It's impossible. He's
Look,
stretching his
I- look,
wings.
I don't-
He's done his work. He's hungry.
That's it. Look, I don't agree with you, as I said.
Yeah.
But
what don't you agree with? That's what I'm saying. So, what do you think a government should be spending money on?
look, I think as I said, I think wherever it goes, we're good. I think people blow things up way too much. I think it's always good to have debate, but it's never good to push your opinion. And it's good that you've got this open. It's an open forum to, you know, have a conversation. But in a lot of senses, like, in a lot of other circumstances, it's not like this. People aren't able to, like, say if I was to watch one of your videos, alright, I'd feel like I'm just getting freaking punched in the face by, you know, like, leftist jargon here and there.
Leftist jargon? What leftist jargon?
Like, as I said, like, when I used to watch your videos, I used to appreciate the content for the humour.
Yeah.
But, you know, over the years, I wouldn't even say years because I don't use Facebook all that much, but it's become a little bit more political and really
Noticed.
really
Yeah. Well, it always started off. It was always a political channel.
did you have
But,
did it start like that, or was it more of a
you're
comedy
talking about
thing?
the early days where I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
No, I guess I was just yelling with wigs, and it seems like you're a fan of that.
Yeah, you got
And then I started getting a little more political, I guess,
Yeah.
but that was pretty early that I started with that. But the thing is that, regardless of whether Liberal or Labor are in, I don't agree that it means that we're going to be fine either way. I'll give you a really good example.
Okay, yeah
John Howard resided over the mining boom.
yeah
$170 billion a year of raw minerals was going overseas.
yeah
And you would agree that is that's our resources, right? Because that's from
I
Australia.
understand
That
the
is our.
situation's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's allowing foreign multinational companies to get 83% of the profits from that $170 billion. Now, if there was a Labor government in, we went way back, they would have just nationalised the mine. So we would have gotten 100% of that $170 billion a year.
Okay.
Instead, what we got under, and then the Labor Party that just came in, they wanted to put a mining tax on it, so we would have at least got much more of the $170 billion, 40% of it, which still isn't great, but it's a lot better than what Howard did, which was 17%. So he was allowing the vast majority of that money to go overseas. It tallied up, and this is a conservative estimate, to be over $1 trillion of money that we now don't have.
Look,
that we should have been spending on our people.
I can't speak all that much. Like, when was John Howard? When was his reign, so to speak?
You were alive for that.
Yeah, I was, but I wasn't conscious as much as
Conscious?
I
You were
wasn't
out of the
conscious of
womb.
what was. Yeah, I wasn't like, you know, following politics as much as I do now.
Yeah.
But in saying that,
You weren't interested in it at 5. Late bloomer. Yeah.
No.
But don't you think
even today, like, Australian politics doesn't really do it for me. I'd rather watch American politics.
Why?
There's more drama.
Exactly.
It's more interesting.
Yeah.
There's more things to debate, and like I said, like
I don't think there's more things to debate. It's just that look at everyone here just walking past and going like, no, I don't really agree with the sign. Well, you can have your opinion and then just keep walking.
Yeah, exactly.
I do agree with that point.
So in saying that, going back to, like, say if Liberal stayed in today's end, would you think we're good? Like, would you
No.
be happy to live in Australia?
Yeah, I'd still be happy to live in Australia, but I'm saying that we are declining
You think
under a Liberal
okay.
government.
Okay.
Well, first off, the education system.
Yeah.
Maths and science worse than Kazakhstan. The education system in general,
But
we are worse than Turkey.
Can you blame that
Think
on?
about
Can you
that.
blame that on the Liberal government?
Yes.
How?
Yes, you can. First of all, started giving $150 billion every 10 years in private school rebates and private hospital rebates to
Yeah.
get people into the private sector.
Okay.
And where they got that money from was stripping it from the public sector. And most people can't afford to go to a private school.
Yeah.
There's 80% of kids that can't.
Yeah.
And so now those schools are underfunded. Then when this budget emergency came in, which is bullshit, but that's just, we can talk about that for hours anyway. And when that came in, they got rid of $80 billion again out of public schools and public hospitals. Didn't touch a dime from the private schools that they're handing money to, which you're getting $4,000 a year per kid. Why do you need more money from the taxpayer? You've got your own tax. The public schools are purely funded on that. And so as a result of that, these schools have been seriously underfunded. And when you're versing countries like Korea and Japan, where if you get like 99 in their ATAR, they commit suicide, like, you know, like that's not good enough. And we're just sitting here just like laid back going like, yeah, well, you know,
But
we're worse than Turkey now. That's still a developed country, kind of.
Look, we can compare. We can compare as much as we want. But as what it brings it back to for me is we've got it good. Like,
Yeah, we do have it good, but I'm saying that we will not have it good if it keeps going this way. We've been lucky.
So
This
how-
country's been very lucky.
so how long? So if it's declining,
Yeah.
when do you think it's going to reach like a T where it's going to like be unmanageable? Do you think it's unmanageable right now?
No, you can elect a Labor government tomorrow, and then we would start improving in health, education, environment, industrial relations, the economy. Look at this. When you're talking about how bad Kevin Rudd was, this is the OECD rankings. The OECD is developed nations, essentially developed nations. There's a few developing nations in it, but they're just ranked. Under Gillard and Rudd, we had the best managed economy in the world. Under Malcolm Turnbull and Scott Morrison, we have the 34th best managed economy on earth.
You can't
Come
throw
on.
Scott Morrison in there. He's just been elected. Like he's just been. You
He
can't.
was there.
Come
He
on.
was treasurer.
Come on.
You don't think the treasurer has something to do with managing
No
the economy?
way. Come
What?
on, dude. Come on.
What do you think the treasurer does? He
but
handles
it's
the
like-
money.
Yeah. Like it's as well, like the approach that people are coming to like Scott Morrison is like they haven't even given him a chance. Like I understand like they've got
Given him 6 years.
I don't know.
But don't you think that, look, that's 6 years of Liberals, that's 6 years of Labor, first best managed economy in the world, during the global financial crisis, by the way. There's been no crisis here. The only crisis they've had to deal with is just like, do I wear a red tie or a blue tie today? It's been fine the last 6 years. And they're 34th. Can you imagine if the Australian cricket team was 34th?
We pretty
Heads
much
would
are
roll.
these days.
It's
When was the
outrageous.
last time we've
yeah.
won a game?
Aren't you
I don't
pissed
know.
off at that?
Not really.
Okay, well.
It's cricket.
Okay.
I don't like to watch sports that go for 3 days, to be honest.
Good man.
Yeah.
You're right. Baseball on Valium. Screw that. But surely you're disappointed in the Australian cricket team. So why are you disappointed with
See, the
Scott?
thing is, I think things are manageable regardless.
But they're not.
Look, I think Scott. I don't know, man. I don't know. Look,
Again, I don't think that you're a stupid guy. I think you're a bit hungover, but I don't think you're a stupid guy. I don't think you're a bad dude. You're a nice guy. It's nothing to do with that. I just think that the media has been lying to you and saying that the Labor Party is bad at
well, the
economics.
media can't lie to me because
You know, you watch
I don't-
Crowder.
Yeah, exactly.
And he doesn't
Correct.
talk about it.
Exactly. He talks about what he wants to talk about, like we're doing right now.
But I think that the general idea in society is that the Liberals are good economic managers. And so that is filtered off into you. And because you've never really heard the actual stats and data, because you just hear that idea.
Look, I have more knowledge when it comes, as I said, to American politics because I follow American
and
politics more.
Don't you think that's a bit sad, though?
Yeah, but
I mean,
then-
I'm kind of the same,
Look,
and it's
I
pathetic.
do agree. I should probably, dive a little bit more into Australian politics. But look, when I see the history of Australian politics, it's a little bit like I don't even want to go near it. Like Julia Gillard just, gets in there, just didn't vote her in.
What do you mean?
Wait, sorry. No, was it Kevin Rudd was the guy that he got in without the vote, or was it Julia Gillard? You'll have to refresh my
Both
memory
of
on
them
this.
got in without a vote at some point.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah.
So that's what sits wrong with me with our government. Like, so.
What does that sit wrong with you? What does it matter?
Well, I didn't vote him in. So.
But you didn't vote him in anyway. I mean, you could probably vote in Scott now because you're in Cook, so you got me on that.
Yeah, no,
but
we've
most of the
definitely got
time you're
this
voting
seat.
for some.
Definitely have this one.
We've learned. But does it really matter who's the head? Like, it's when you're voting for politics, you're voting for a machine. It's not like.
Well, then when you
again,
said,
it's not
does it
the
really
US.
matter who's the head? So whether or not it's Liberal or Labor, that's the
That
point I'm
matters
pressing to
because
you.
those are different machines.
Do you think it will ever get to the point where you won't feel the urge to live in Australia because you think things have gotten so bad?
Well, I don't know.
You're
That's
living
a
a-
really hard question to answer. But as it is now, no. Clearly Australia is one of the best countries on earth. But you don't actually really understand why that is. And the thing is, again, it's because you follow American politics, but if you look at the history of Australian governance, a lot of the things that you take advantage for at the moment, the fact that you have a really good wage, I'm assuming, are you on the dole or what's the deal?
No,
What do you do?
I pay taxes. I pay
You pay
taxes.
your taxes.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
You don't dodge them, do you?
No.
With the camera.
I wish I could, but no.
Yeah,
It doesn't work like that.
You have good wages in comparison to the
Yeah.
rest of the world. We have
Yeah.
a well-functioning economy that's very diverse. We used to have a good education system. That's obviously slipping, as we said. We've got Medicare, good.
Dude, Medicare is amazing, man. But
Exactly. But what are all these? These are all Labor accomplishments. The Liberal Party didn't want Medicare in. They fought against it for 40 years. And why is that?
what would be the alternative? Because
An American healthcare system.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Obamacare.
Not even Obamacare.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They didn't
I'm
even
kidding.
want
I'm
that.
kidding. I would not want Obamacare. I would not want Obamacare. I said I'm more pressed on. I know more about Obamacare than I do about Medicare, which is a bit of a concern.
Well,
but-
all you need to know is that if you got a spear in the leg tomorrow, you could walk in and they'd treat you. Whereas in America, they'd be like, "Do you have health insurance?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you just die in the corner?"
Is that
there?"
pre-existing? Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing, right? These are all accomplishments of the Labor Party.
No,
So
I
the reason you
look,
live in
I'm
such
not,
a good country.
I'm not going to sit here and disagree completely that I think good can come from either sides. But I think the
But
thing
that's
that,
what I'm saying. It actually doesn't when you look at it. The Liberals don't do anything good for this country. And you know the reason why? Because you've never really thought about this. I've got the stats. I can show you the book again if you like.
No, you don't need to show me the stats of what Labor's accomplished because we're talking about changing the mind of Liberal. And I understand we're using the platform to kind of go off it, to, have something to gauge off. But do you really? I just think Labor and people who are more towards the left side of things in Australian politics.
This is another misnomer. So, what is left and right in your mind? Because to me, I don't really think about things as left or right. I just look at, is that a good policy or not? I don't care if it's left or right. So, for instance, Labor Party's done a lot of right-wing things in the past. Of what I'm guessing what you think is right-wing, like getting rid of trade tariffs, deregulating the market, allowing foreign banks into the country. These are a lot of right-wing things. But when you look at what it actually did for this country, you think, well, it actually improved the country. So I don't really care if it's left or right. I just care if it increases some of the stat. Like if it puts us in a better position, that's great. That's the way that I see it.
Before you go on to the next thing, I'm just going to have to pause it
Very good.
and then start it again.
All good.
Okay. We'll just pause there. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Now.
Yeah, look at that.
All right, we're recording again. We're good to go.
Oh, are we? Yeah.
Good to go.
What were we saying? Now I can't remember.
So as long as Australia moves forward, don't care if it's left or right.
That's it.
Okay.
So that's why I see it. But what do you mean by left and right? What do you actually mean by that?
The way I look at Labor, I feel like this is going to sound real confusing because Labor would look at people who are more liberal and think they're a bit more forceful with their opinion, but I think it's the latter. I think, obviously people who it tends to be, if people vote Labor, they're a bit more like empathetic, they're a bit more like they care about the environment, they're a bit more like, let's just say, conscious.
You don't seem to not care about those things.
No, I do, but I don't put like my heart before my brain. Does that make sense? Like I feel like.
So why are you dismissing these stats then?
I haven't dismissed those stats.
Okay.
Look,
Just the nod.
you need to lean back in your chair.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot we're debating in Australia. I've got to get more sleep.
I would actually love to go over those stats now that, you've brought them up to my attention. And as I said, like, I'm guilty, and a lot of people are guilty to not follow Australian politics, but can you blame them?
No, but what I'm saying is that is because the media makes it boring on purpose. So the difference is in the US.
I don't follow the media.
But that's why, because it's boring.
The thing is, because, but...
Well, also, you didn't like my content either, and I think it's fun.
But I don't watch TV. I'll sift through YouTube. Look, I'll watch your content, but I haven't for the last few years.
Yeah.
But the one or two few times that I have, as I said, like, it's when I feel like I'm a firm believer, if you've got comedy, you've got comedy. You've got politics, you've got politics. When people merge the two...
That's what Crowder does.
Yeah, but as I said, like, I don't agree with Crowder completely.
Right.
As I said, like, I feel like his forum, like, which obviously is this forum, we're doing it right now. I feel like, as I said, it's allowing people to have a conversation, but really, it's not... Like, when I first started watching Crowder, like, I was like, I like this because, he takes the more, liberal approach and, it's a bit more right-wing, so to speak. But I feel like even he can get a little bit full-on sometimes. So I feel like...
Even he?
Well,
he does.
He does. Look, I'll admit, like, I've watched it a few times, like, as of late, and I'm just like, dude, chill out. Dude, and as I said, I've voted...
You like chilling, don't you?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Cronulla, man. Cronulla. How can you not chill here? Got the nice breeze, got the water.
Yeah. It is very conducive to chill, isn't it? It's really the opposite of CBD Melbourne.
Well, that's what I think. I think you, to a degree, did you think you would come here and have a little bit more hostility?
No, not hostility. I just thought that people would be able to argue their case.
Yeah.
Or be willing to argue it.
Yeah. See, people, when it comes to Australian politics, people just don't... I feel like when it comes from the right, people... They care, but they don't care enough to have a conversation about it. Where I feel like on the left, they care and they want to freaking force it down your throat. They want to riot in the streets. They want to, they want to press kids to have, days off school to, protest climate change. Like, you don't see people from the right doing those things. And
you do, but the difference is they're not in power. So... When there was the carbon tax was in place, there was a bunch of oldies at Canberra just being like, windmills are going to kill birds.
Which they do. They destroy birds. Dude, we've got...
but climate change is going to kill a lot of birds.
Dude, birds have got it tough. Wind turbines, 5G? They're implementing 5G in Netherlands that are just dropping birds out of the sky. Man, I'd rather be a human than a bird.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway...
Poor old Nelly Furtado songs, eh? Well, the thing is, man, I really do appreciate you coming down and talking about it. But all I'm saying is, if you actually look into the policies, and I understand that the media makes it boring, and the reason they do that is because in the US, they have to rile people up to go out and vote. So they've got an incentive to make it interesting. No.
Good.
Who likes CNN?
Good. Nobody.
Airports?
Trump's a fan. I think Trump's a fan of CNN.
I'll have to look into that. You've given me something to think about there. I don't know.
I'll take your statistics and you look into that.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I would appreciate that if you could send those to me or some way or another.
Well, it's just right here. Like, look, just remember this the next time someone says the Liberals are better at economic management.
Wait. Was it a whole folder and there was one page? Okay.
Well, the rest of it's all climate change data.
Okay.
We can talk about that next if you want. But this one here. But this one here. This is all. I think this is all self-explanatory, right? Fraser, 20th best managed economy in the world. Keating comes in, 6th best managed economy in the world. John Howard comes in during the peak of global economic prosperity. We're talking the best economic conditions the world has ever seen, a mining boom. There's one thing Australia has a lot of, it's brickies and iron ore. And, you know, he moved us down from 6th to 10th during that period.
Okay.
It's not fantastic, is it? In fact, I would argue that's pretty shit.
See, now I appreciate these stats, I do. And as I said,
and that's what I'm saying, they're just not publicly available, and there is a reason for that. And it's because this is a party that serves extremely wealthy people, which, you know, you're doing all right, but you're still wearing footy shorts. Like, I'm not guessing you're a billionaire. Is what I'm saying. Right?
One day. As long as they don't, if Labor brings in their capital gains tax,
then
I won't be a billionaire.
You bought a house, did you?
I did.
When'd you do that?
No, I didn't. I was just dramatising it a little bit.
Right, okay.
But
you're rented.
Yeah,
you live in a house. You're not homeless.
I live
That's
in a
what you're
unit.
saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That a man.
Yeah.
Got a life together.
Yeah. No, I wasn't using Macca's Wi-Fi, and then I saw your post and I ran down here. I wasn't like that. But look, I think at the end of the day, regardless of as I said, I've been a Liberal voter my whole life. I can't say that.
Do you think that you'd change that ever?
There would have to be some big things that hit home for me. Look, the problem is I'm coming from my background. Like, I was in the military.
Yeah. Thank you for your service, sir.
We're not America. You don't need to go around saying that.
No, what did you do? Skullback titties like your mates with the $900.
$900, nah. I wish I got that. But
yeah. Look, that's what you're really angry about, isn't it?
Look, I think it all comes down to, obviously, your surrounding, where you've been brought up. That's obviously going to impact the way you're going to think about certain things.
Yeah.
The way you're going to vote.
Don't you think that if you're giving new information, you should change that?
Look, I'm not going to be that, right-wing person that's going to say, look, I'm never going to change. You can't make me change, because I do believe in change. So it would have to take a lot. Something huge to make me vote Labor.
But what do you care about?
What do I care about?
Okay, so if they just came in and said, we're becoming a dictatorship now, then you'd probably be like, oh, maybe this one time I'll swing it to Labor.
I'd give it a go.
Yeah, okay, so it'd have to be, I really just want to know why you vote the way you vote. Is it just because your parents did? Is that the deal?
I just feel like it's, as I said before, when you come from the approach of people who vote Labor would think that people who vote Liberal are very forceful. I feel like it's the other way, and I guess in a way I do base my vote off. It's odd to say this, but I do base my vote off America as well, because I feel like...
Well, you can't do that.
Well, you can.
They're in a different hemisphere.
Yeah, but...
I suppose I was arguing before, though, just being like, unemployment anywhere. So I suppose...
Okay, so if you lived in America...
Touché, me.
If you lived in America, who would have you voted for in the last election over there?
No, begrudgingly Hillary Clinton, but I would have much preferred Bernie.
So would you have voted Bernie if he would have won? If you thought he had the chance of winning, what would be... So you said you'd vote Hillary over Bernie?
No, I would have voted Bernie over Hillary.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said the other.
Who would do that?
Exactly.
Again, people who work for CNN, that's it.
Okay, so... Yeah, see, I would never vote for Bernie, ever.
Why?
I just don't think it's not viable. It's just not viable. He thinks with his heart and he doesn't think with his brain so much.
I don't agree with that. Because again, he basically has the same policies that the Labor Party has. And as we can see, that is much better for the economy.
Well, he doesn't really, because Labor's not socialist. He's pushing a socialist agenda.
But
Labor's not.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, when you get to these words like socialist or communist or capitalist, what do they actually mean? It changes from person to person,
it does,
doesn't
exactly,
it?
Yeah.
So some people will say, for instance, Trump was just like, Bernie Sanders is a communist. There, I said it. But other people are just like, yeah, he's a socialist. And other people are like, he's not a socialist, he's not left enough. Like, it depends who you ask. It's just about the policy, right? And what is Bernie pushing for? Medicare? Good wages for people? If you ask most economists now what the West needs, it is higher wages.
Do you think, so when you take into consideration like the economists, like when they take, say, Bernie's plan, what is their approach on that? What is their thought
for
process
instance,
on
when
that?
he's saying Medicare for all, that is, even according to Koch brothers, who are complete opposite, they're the ones that fund Crowner, by the way. Actually, we should probably cut that out, but anyway.
No, keep that in.
But
You can't cut it. You can't cut it.
Basically, they're just a bunch of, they're the fifth and sixth richest person on earth, and they have completely paralysed the US political system to work for them, because they just have so much money that they can just throw it into the legal system and into elections and get the elections to work their way most of the time, right? So anyway, they're always coming up with think tank papers to prove their points, and then they were just saying that Medicare would be a disaster for America because apparently it would cost $2 trillion less than the current healthcare system we have. We're just going to put that aside. But that's the thing, right? Like, it's cheaper to have.
Comparing it to Obamacare, but
No, comparing it to even just a fully privatised medical system. So the thing is, when you actually look at these policies, for instance, in Australia, why did we avoid the recession? There was many reasons for it, but a huge one is the people here have good wages, so they can continue to spend. Because that's what keeps an economy going, right, is money moving around. What do rich people do with money? They take it offshore. They don't even put it in the country. They're just like, straight into the Cayman Islands.
Select few people.
Exactly, really rich people.
Yeah.
And that's what the American system is set up. Because the thing is, when they say, like, he's a socialist, what they're really saying is, like, he doesn't like extremely rich people owning 50% of the world.
Do you have a problem with a lot of people, like, say, the top threshold of people, obviously it's very few people that have that amount of money. Do you have a problem with that? People having that amount of money?
If they pay their taxes, no.
Okay. Well,
but it depends, but they don't pay their taxes.
But see, a lot of people would say that are against, like, you know, a Liberal government wouldn't say that.
What would they say?
They'd say, no, they can't have that amount of money, blah, blah, blah. And then
if you are contributing to society instead of just writing off and avoiding taxes and figuring out how to move that money offshore, which is what these rich people do with their money. Because the whole point is, the whole idea of setting up that system of making people rich was that they would employ more people.
Do you think people
here,
shouldn't be allowed to do that?
Not do what? Take money offshore?
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, they should be able to do it, but like, why would they be helping? What? What?
You answered it so quickly, and then you're just like, oh no.
No, but I mean, you should be allowed to take it offshore, right? But does it help Australia when that happens? Absolutely not.
If you're in that situation, say you win the lotto, and you had the ability to transfer your money to an offshore bank account and avoid tax.
I personally wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do it?
No. I don't think that's it. Because again, I think
you
about
think it's a more
what's good for
ethical
the
thing.
Yeah,
but you won the lotto. You won the lotto, so it's just like.
So.
Yeah, but
does that make me absolved of morality because I won the lotto?
Yes, but you didn't earn it. You didn't earn it. That's money that you're getting for nothing. So then I guess I can't. I can't. That's a loophole. I'm going to go too deep on that one.
What I'm saying is a lot of these ideas. For instance, when it comes to Steven Crowder or it comes to Ben Shapiro...
Sorry to interrupt you on that. But, so what I'm saying is if you're in that situation, you would do it for more of like a economic standpoint, or would you do it for more of like a... because it makes you feel better that you're not doing that thing that, like, it seems really like dramatic, like people putting money in offshore bank accounts, sending this.
Well, it's not exactly dramatic. It's really damaging the economy, especially in the US.
Yeah.
They think that 50%, as much as 50% of the GDP of the US could be locked up in offshore bank accounts.
Okay.
So essentially half the money in the US.
So how much of those
could
Hillary
be
Clinton's? Probably
heaps.
50%?
What? What?
I'm joking.
You think she has trillions of dollars in her bank account? The thing is, she has millions of dollars,
and she does it
each speech. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with Hillary Clinton. I just think that she's better than a Republican. But the thing is that... We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll stick on this. It's too easy to get sidetracked on something like this, so yeah, we'll stick to the topic.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
And for your service. But yeah, look, these ideas that you get of I don't know, left-wing or socialist. These are ideas that are imprinted into your head to stop you from looking at what actually benefits you. So if you take away the labels of socialist, left-wing, right-wing, what have you got at the end of the day? You've got this policy moves Australia's education system up, this policy moves Australia's education system down.
But I
So
don't,
I'm saying get more specific.
I don't see it as it moving down, because I see regardless we're good. That's the baseline for me. Like, yeah, like things fluctuate. Like, it's not going to be. Do you expect like a steady economy for the rest? Is that what you? That's what you're going for?
No, I just think that I want the best manager that we can have managing the economy at all times. Again, the reason that we escaped the worst economic conditions the world has ever seen. Virtually every developed nation went into that. There's arguments about whether or not Canada did or not. But we definitely escaped that. Every other developed nation did.
So you think if the Liberal government was in?
I know for a fact they would have, because our own Treasury said if we didn't spend the surplus on a stimulus package of handing out $900, because they're eggheads, dude. Their whole job is to sit there and think about
But you can't
economics
say you know for a fact.
spending.
You're going off what somebody said. It has the potential to be there.
All right, let me retract the word fact. According to Treasury, our own Department of Treasury, if we did what the Liberal Party did, we would be in recession.
Okay, that makes.
What the Liberal Party wanted to do.
Okay. Look, as I said, I'm not disagreeing with you on that Labor hasn't done good, but I think Liberal has done good as well.
But what's your examples?
Look at it. Look at our streets, man. Like a lot of people, like I know a lot of people.
have streets?
Listen. Streets in our highways and stuff like that. They're putting a lot of money. Like I used to live up the coast, so like a big thing is to cut the time from driving up the coast, build new roads. I feel like the good comes like. Although it's a lot of spending, I feel like there's a lot of good that comes from it. Like
there is.
And don't get me wrong. Like I don't understand the whole things that are going, not everything that's going on with New South Wales, with, what are they doing, tearing down one of the football stadiums to put up, are they putting a new one there?
Yes, they are. And why? Because you voted Berejiklian for you. Shame. You're fine here.
Did I?
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to get jumped here. There's no Antifa here. Although I did see an Antifa sticker on the pole over there before, out front of Northers
Very
of all places.
disheartened by that. Unbelievable. Graffiti. My word.
Well, look.
But the thing is, though, again, yes, infrastructure spending's great. What did the Liberal Party do? Halve it. The Labor Party was spending double the amount on infrastructure that the Liberal Party are. And what are they spending that half infrastructure money on?
I think what it's going to come down to at the end of the day, from me, it's either way. Like honestly, if Labor was in, I wouldn't be coming in like trying to change people's mind. I wouldn't be protesting. I wouldn't be doing those things because I just think we're blessed to have what we have. And although I think that a lot of people want to. Do you feel like in Australian politics a lot of people want to change each other's minds?
No.
You don't think so?
Do you?
Do you think they want to? Do you think they're wanting to change people's mind, or do you think they want to do what feels good for them, and then they're just trying to, enlighten other people, so to speak?
Frankly, I don't think anyone gives a shit about Australian politics.
Yeah, and
You're a prime example. You don't give a fuck. You're the average Australian voter. That's you, man.
I think that is the problem.
Yeah.
I think that is the problem. Like, how old are you?
Don't you? Pretty much your age. I'll never tell.
Undisclosed.
29.
Undisclosed. Look, well, how many people our age don't vote?
Heaps.
Exactly.
I don't know the exact statistics, but we are extremely underrepresented in the demographics.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think, again, it is because the media makes it boring, which is why you don't pay attention to it. And it is a deliberate strategy to get in a government that doesn't work in your interests. And that's what I'm saying. If you actually looked at the facts, you would know very quickly that the Liberal Party is not working in your interests. It's working in the interests of foreign multinational companies and billionaires. And again...
Who's to say I'm not a billionaire?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true, man.
Dude, you see,
Just
was
do
it
it.
Mark Zuckerberg? They
Yeah,
don't wear
be a
designer
fortune.
clothes. You've seen those pictures, have you not?
Yeah, they're just like me.
Exactly. You're a billionaire. One day.
I am. And I care.
I've got a good offshore bank account if you reach that.
You're with ING, are you? You've got one of those barefoot investor accounts.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to try and change your mind. Look, it's as simple as that. I know you're strong on your opinion. Although, as I said, like, it's hard to say because, as I said, like, I'd like to say I'm strong on my opinion, but then I don't know the statistics when it comes to Australian politics.
So that's what I'm saying, man. Just look them up.
Yeah.
And if you do a modicum of research into the things that actually matter about governing, economy, health, education, environment, industrial relations, what else is important? Infrastructure.
Or I could alternatively just watch YouTube and watch American politics.
You could also
it's
do
just
that.
It's just
You're
like
right.
a sitcom
It
to
is
me.
a free country.
Watch Stephen Crowder every now and again.
You know what? I really appreciate you coming and talking, though.
Yeah.
Even though you have not changed my mind.
Look, this is what we need, man. This is what we need.
More
That's
discussion, as Dave Rupert would say.
Yeah. There you go.
Thanks, mate.
All
Thanks
good.
for coming down.
Next time on Friendly with Jordies, Change My Mind trademark. We set up just outside of UNSW because apparently it's too controversial to be on campus, the idea that one of the major parties in this country is worth voting for. Hoping to lure in some young liberals, and we did, but forget 30-year-old boomers, they are 20-year-old boomers. All of them insisted, don't film my face.